This wasn't meant for everyone, only for the few who are ready. Listen. Deep beneath the forehead, a tiny gland waits like a secret antenna. Science calls it the pineal gland. Mystics call it the third eye. Both point to the same thing, a receptor for a subtle field, a frequency that reorganizes awareness. You felt that sentence. That's not accident. Slow your breath. Feel the weight of your body. Notice the space around your heart. A gentle pulse, a quieting of the mind. Breathe in. Breathe out. Be here. There is a signal in the air, not outside, but within. An activation arrives not as noise, but as resonance. You don't seek it so much as become receptive to it. Your consciousness shifts. You begin to hear an inner calibration, higher tone, clearer sight, a clarity that is less thinking and more knowing. Few will sense this moment as an invitation. Fewer still will answer. That's the narrowing. That's the refinement. If there is a soft tug in your chest, if your dreams have sharpened, if your empathy has widened, this message is tuning you. The divine is not far away. It speaks through frequency. It turns your cells into receivers. It lights the third eye gently, without force. Stay present. Let the words settle in the body, not only the mind. This is a quiet initiation. You may feel unease. You may feel awe. Both are friends on the path. Listen for the subtle shift. Trust the slow unraveling. There is a ritual of attention that precedes activation. Breath, stillness, and a willingness to be changed. Inhale. Exhale. This is where your next chapter quietly begins. The first sign, inner resonance before activation. A faint bell rings deep behind your eyes, so soft you might think it's imagination. And the world tilts, just enough to make the ordinary look sacred. You may not have been told to listen for this. Most teachings rush straight to rituals, supplements, or dramatic visions. But the true beginning is quieter. A frequency that arrives like a note under all the noise. It is not always bright. Sometimes it is a subtle vibration at the brow, a warmth dissolving into coolness, or a sudden, unreasonable clarity about a choice you've been avoiding. Notice that first small signal. It is a summons. Think of the pineal as an inner tuning fork, not a button to be pushed. When the field within you begins to align, that tuning fork hums. Your senses soften and sharpen at once. Colors take on edges they didn't have. Dreams visit with purpose. And you feel a ripple of recognition when someone speaks a truth you had only half formed. That ripple is the body saying, "I'm remembering how to listen." This resonance is practical. It shows up in the most human ways. An unexpected compassion for a stranger, the cessation of overeating as hunger becomes more subtle, or an increased intolerance for distractions that once soothed you. These are not moral judgments. They are recalibrations. Your nervous system is clearing static to receive a clearer signal. Here is a twist. Activation often begins in the wound. The noise that kept the tuning fork silent is usually pain, grief, or prolonged overwhelm. When that pressure softens, sometimes after a breakdown, sometimes after a long season of small, honest losses, the space inside you becomes less cluttered. This is why what looks like suffering can be a door. The bell rings not because you earned it, but because you finally stopped holding the place it needed. A practice to anchor this. Become the witness of the bell. When you notice the sensation, breathe into it. Name the tone silently, a vowel, a color, a memory, and let it sit without needing to change. Gaze softly at a patch of light. Drink water as if it were a ceremony. Little acts of reverent attention are the wiring that helps resonance grow into steady reception. Do not chase visions. Do not weaponize quick fixes. The field requires patience, not force. Activation is an inward attunement that will rearrange how you make choices, not merely provide spectacle. It will ask for gentleness with your body, honesty with your heart, and a willingness to leave certain comforts behind. Listen now. Can you still hear the faint bell? If so, what does it want you to notice about the life you are building? Clearing the static within. The more you try to silence the noise, the louder your inner radio plays, until you learn to sit with the static and listen for its rhythm. Imagine your pineal as a delicate antenna tucked behind your forehead, like a tiny lighthouse waiting to broadcast. For many of us, years of grief, shock, and conditioned fear have wrapped that lighthouse in fog. The static you feel, restlessness, obsessive thought, sudden mood swings, a sense of being off, is not a flaw. It is a message in interference, a worn tape of old hurts trying to be rewound and understood. When you approach it with force, you only tighten the dial. When you approach it with tenderness, the signal shifts. First, notice the quality of the noise. Is it sharp, like broken glass, old alarms and judgments? Is it low and humming, habitual worry and fatigue? Place one hand lightly over the center of your chest and the other at your third eye. Breathe slow and imagine each breath as a cleansing current. Don't rush to fix what arises. Name nothing. Let the body describe itself in sensation. Heat, tightness, a flicker. This is not avoidance, it's translation. In that translation, the pineal begins to hear. There are small, subtle practices that prime the gland without grand ritual. Let morning be half light rather than full assault. Expose your eyes to gentle dawn. Move your tongue along the roof of your mouth for a beat between breaths. This micro gesture reconnects the nervous pathways that cradle intuition. Hum quietly for a minute, feeling the vibration vibrate through the skull. Sound clears channels in a way silence cannot always reach. Eat with awareness. Simple, clean, grounding foods that do not demand frantic digestion. Your internal chemistry is part of the tuning mechanism. Here's the twist. Clearing is not cleansing by erasure. The static holds the blueprints of what you once needed to survive. When you rush to remove it, you risk losing the very lessons that sculpted your sensitivity. So instead of scrubbing the noise away, invite it to sit beside you. Ask a small question. What do you keep trying to protect me from? Listen for the answer in images, sense, or a sudden memory. Often, the response is softer than you expected. The work becomes translation rather than conquest. This path asks for gentle consistency, not heroic bouts of willpower, but daily micro-alliances. One breath taken with intention, 1 minute of soft sound, one small food choice made in presence. Over time, the fog thins. Light touches the lighthouse. Your inner frequency steadies, and the third eye begins to open. not as an event, but as a steady widening. Hold a simple image now, a field of tall grasses, wind passing through, not flattening them, only allowing each blade to find its own direction. What would it feel like to walk through that field without pulling the grass aside? As you soften into the static, instead of fighting it, what signal waits patiently at the center, ready to speak? Embodied activation. Anchor the third eye into daily life. Step into your body as if the cosmos were listening only to your breath. This is not a distant unlocking. It is a slow, intimate insertion of presence into muscle, bone, and the quiet hollow behind your eyes. Many seekers imagine the pineal as a remote lamp to be flicked on by rare experiences. The twist is simpler and truer. The pineal responds to how you inhabit your life. Activation is an embodied conversation, not a single dramatic event. Feel the weight of your feet. Notice the meeting of breath and belly. The third eye opens most readily when the rest of you is permitted to be real, tired, raw, curious. When you ground the body, the field around the skull softens, and the pineal can tune into subtler frequencies. Start there. Let the practice be small, tender, and repeatable. A practical doorway, the anchor pause. Twice a day, morning and dusk, sit with a soft spine. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6 with a gentle, humming that vibrates not only the throat, but the space behind your eyes. Place one hand lightly over your heart and the other between your brows, not pushing, but resting. Imagine the 2 hands as antennas aligning one frequency, a quiet loop between heart and brow. This loop trains your nervous system to join feeling with vision, to let intuition be felt as much as seen. Here is the deeper shift many miss. Activation is less about clarity of images and more about clarity of signal. You will not necessarily see light at first. You will begin to notice consistent inner prompts, small nudges, an uncanny rightness when you choose a path. Those nudges are the pineal learning to speak through your body's language. Celebrate micro-evidence, a sudden easing of anxiety, a timely insight, the memory of a forgotten name that arrives whole. Ritualize small, ordinary things. Drink water with mindful intention. Walk barefoot for 5 minutes to discharge static. Let soft sunlight touch your closed eyelids for 30 seconds. These are not trivial. They are frequency hygiene. The world is noisy. Clearing the local field is how the subtle signal becomes audible. One more reframing. Activation isn't an arrival that separates you from suffering. It is a deeper tenderness toward it. When the pineal opens, you don't escape pain. You feel it with a steadier lamp in the dark. That steadiness changes how you respond, how you heal, and how you choose. Sit with that image, your hands bridging heart and brow, breathing a slow hum into the hollow behind your eyes. What small, daily thread could you begin that would let this signal grow? You made it here. That already separates you from the crowd. There are millions who scroll, skim, and forget. You stayed. You listened with more than your ears. Celebrate that, quietly, because this awakening is gentle, but celebrate it nonetheless. You noticed. You were meant to notice. What you just opened is not information only. It is an initiation scaled to your rhythm. Think of your awareness as a small compass that has been quietly recalibrating while life did the heavy lifting. Each breath you took during this has nudged the needle closer to true north. That subtle nudging is proof. Something in you is aligning to a higher frequency. That alignment is not rare magic, it's an invitation. You are answering. If this stirred something, a shiver behind the eyes, warmth in the chest, a sudden clarity, type a simple yes in the comments. Tell us one word that surfaced for you. Light, release, home, or truth. Do not overthink it. Your single word becomes a beacon for someone else who needs it right now. When you share, you are not posting to an algorithm. You are placing a lantern on a path. That small act matters. You belong here. You are not merely a viewer. You are part of a growing circle that remembers how to feel the field, how to listen to the pineal's quiet language, and how to hold a softer, braver kind of attention. In this circle, we do not perform awakening. We allow it. We steward it. We recognize the tender courage it takes to stay present when everything in you learned to run. Here, your story is honored. Your stumbling steps are sacred map markings, not failures. If you want a next simple offering, commit to one small practice today. Pause 3 times and place your hand gently over your third eye, even for 10 breaths. No force, just notice. If you felt resonance with today's message, share it with one person who might be ready for a nudge. When you give a nudge, you amplify the field. That creates ripples that return to you. Before you go, breathe and allow the image of your inner light to expand slightly, just enough to touch the corners of your daily life. Let gratitude settle like soft rain on that light. You are part of a lineage of quiet awakeners, and your presence here matters more than you know. Keep shining your light. Remain present, breathe, and absorb this energy in gratitude.